Hi there, I'm Bill Sorenson and I'm running for North Carolina Senate, District 33, which entails Rowan and Stanley counties. And I'd like to talk to you for just a few minutes about my campaign signs and how I believe they represent my campaign and, more importantly, what I'm running for pretty adequately. This right here is an example of my campaign sign, and first thing you'll notice about it is the colors. Now, if you're watching the roadways as you're driving around, there's just a ton of different themes and color schemes, all red and all blue and green campaign signs. Well, you'll notice I chose red, white, and blue because that represents my service in the United States Navy. I am a veteran of the United States Submarine Force, served 9 years in the Navy, left with an honorable discharge and unfortunately a disability, but my dedication and commitment to the United States of America and the Constitution are unwavering and will always be unwavering. So I chose red, white, and blue to represent my service. Now, you can't tell it from this just YouTube video type thing, but this is actually one of the smaller campaign signs. 12 by, I think it's 12 by 18 or something like that. And if you drive around, you'll see my opponent, and most people have the bigger signs. The 24 by something, much bigger signs. And there's some rationale behind that too. The obvious reason is they're cheaper. These signs cost me about $3 a piece for the two colors, actually 3-color signs in this size. And because I am running as a outlaw Republican, if you will, without the sanction or the assistance of the GOP party in Rowan and Stanley County, I had to look at the cost of that. But I think it's also important to note that the smaller sign does well represent my campaign. A lot of great things in this world started from small things and small starts, and I'm proud of my campaign signs. I made the design myself, or came up with the design myself, and as you can see, it says putting our children first. That is my theme, that is my purpose, that's why I'm running. So the signs are small, and that to me is a good thing. It represents the small things, great things can come from that. Finally, you'll notice as you drive around, if you're paying attention to the millions of campaign signs that are spread up all around Rowan and Stanley County, my signs sit very close to the ground, very close to the ground. Now, when I buy my signs, like everybody else, they have the options of these rails, these metal frames that you can buy. I intentionally bought frames that kept my signs grounded and closer to the ground. I believe too many of our politicians have their heads in the sky. They're pie-in-the-sky politicians. And basically, I'll be honest with you, the physics of it was another reason I chose to go with the ground level sign. If you drive around, you'll see a lot of signs that are basically bent over. And then higher the sign, based on the physics of wind, resistance, that kind of thing, they're bent over. And I wanted to keep my signs straight, close to the ground, straight, and true, in other words, square. Finally, I'll mention the colors again. The single color sign, I could have bought 2 for 1, basically, of the single color, single-sided signs, which were cheap. But some folks tend to tell me I'm a colorful individual. Some people like me, some people don't. Most people have a reaction to me. So, again, that's another reason I went with the multicolor. So, well, thank you for your time. I know it's 4 minutes of your life you'll never get again, but I want you to think about voting for Bill Sorenson for Senate for North Carolina District 33. I'm not running for me. I am not a politician. I never chose or proposed to be a politician, and frankly, I never wanted to be a politician. I'm running for North Carolina Senate because we are destroying our public schools right before your eyes. I'm running for North Carolina Senate because per pupil funding in this state is over $600 less than it was when the recession started, despite the fact North Carolina has banked over $500 million. $500 million, $500 million in the last couple of years. They have used, the folks in Raleigh that I call the status quo, have used our schools to fund tax cuts for the wealthiest among us. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a Republican and a conservative, and a compassionate conservative is what I consider myself. I love a good tax cut too. But unlike most of you folks, or a lot of you folks, I watched what they did in 2014. They raised licenses, fees, registration costs across the board. There was 17 pages of increases and gave you a small, tiny marginal income tax cut. What they did, ladies and gentlemen, is they've transferred the bulk of the tax burden to the working class and the poor and the working poor. It's wrong, it's morally and ethically incorrect, and I'm fighting that. Last but not least, I want to share one little thing with you. I've been a high school teacher for 26 years. I'm finishing up my 26th year. I'm pretty much towards the end of my teaching career, looking to do another 2 years, pending how things go with the election, and then retiring and doing something else with my life. The reason I do what I do, the reason I'm putting myself and my family through this, the expense, the stress, the chaos, and the time that I'm losing with my family and my grandchildren, is because those kids are worth it. There's 1,400,000 plus students in North Carolina. They're worth it. We're cheating them. We're depriving them of the same educational opportunity that they had just 10 years ago. And there's no reason for it other than to make rich people rich. So I'm going to close with that. And I want you to know that win or lose, I love my country, I love my state, I love Stanley County, and I love District 33. But I'm fighting for your children. Thank you. And think about the signs.